Welcome to our channel History of Coins, where we explore the hidden gems of numismatics. In today's video, we're diving into the fascinating world of US 5-cent coins, as some of these coins are rare and can make you rich overnight. In this video, we are gonna uncover the rarest coins and their values. So make sure to watch the complete video and find out if you have one of these. Now let's continue our today's video. Top 1 today, we're shining a spotlight on a coin that nearly every collector has seen, but only a few realize its true potential. This is the 1964 Jefferson nickel, a coin struck in massive numbers. Yet certain rare versions and error types have made it incredibly valuable. Stay with me until the end, because this story proves that even the most common-looking coin can hide an extraordinary surprise. The Jefferson nickel series began in 1938, replacing the Buffalo nickel, and has remained one of the most recognizable coins in American currency. The design by Felix Schlag features a left-facing portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse, while the reverse displays his famous Virginia home, Monticello. For decades, the Jefferson nickel has been a familiar part of everyday life, but the 1964 edition holds a unique place in numismatic history. The year 1964 was a turning point for American coinage. The United States Mint produced more nickels that year than in any year before it, partly in response to widespread coin shortages. Billions of nickels were struck at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints. On the surface, this made the 1964 nickel seem common, and most people would assume it carries no real value beyond face value. But as collectors know, rarity isn't always about the number minted. It's about condition, errors, and unique varieties. Now, here's where the story gets interesting. While most of these coins were used in everyday circulation, a small number survived in pristine, uncirculated condition. These untouched examples, with sharp details and original mint luster, are highly prized by collectors. Grading services such as PCGS and NGC award these coins top marks, and when that happens, the price skyrockets. But even more exciting are the errors and varieties that appeared on the 1964 Jefferson nickel. One of the most famous is the doubled die, where the lettering or details of the design appear doubled under close inspection. Some coins show doubling on the inscriptions like Liberty or In God We Trust, and these are especially valuable. Off-center strikes are another type of error, where the coin's design is noticeably shifted away from the center, creating a dramatic and rare look. Then there are die cracks, planchet flaws, and even coins struck on the wrong type of metal planchet. Each of these mistakes creates a unique coin, and uniqueness is what drives collectors wild. Another fascinating aspect of the 1964 Jefferson nickel is the transition it represents. After 1964, the mint stopped placing mint marks on coins for a few years to discourage hoarding during the coin shortage. That makes the 1964 nickels with mint marks an interesting study for collectors who pay close attention to history as well as design. What also makes the 1964 nickel special is the sheer nostalgia it carries. Many people alive today remember using these coins daily, and that connection to personal history adds sentimental value. Combine that with the rare errors, uncirculated examples, and the high demand from Jefferson nickel specialists, and you have a coin that continues to attract serious attention on the collector's market. Imagine holding one of these coins in your hand. To most people, it looks like just another nickel, something you might use at the store without thinking twice. But when you look closer, the details tell a different story. Maybe the strike is doubled, maybe the alignment is off, or maybe the coin is in such pristine condition that it gleams like the day it left the mint. That's when you realize you're not just holding 5 cents. You're holding a rare piece of history. So now comes the question that everyone wants answered. How much could one of these rare 1964 Jefferson nickels actually be worth? While the average circulated coin is worth only its face value, the rare error versions, and those preserved in flawless, uncirculated condition have stunned collectors with their incredible prices. And here's the moment you've been waiting for. A 1964 Jefferson nickel in pristine uncirculated condition with a rare error variety has been valued at an astonishing $83,000. That's right, $83,000 for a single nickel. It's stories like these that remind us why coin collecting is so thrilling. Every coin has a story, and sometimes that story ends in a treasure far more valuable than anyone could imagine. Top 2, we're turning our attention to a coin that many people overlook, a coin that seems ordinary at first glance, but in the right condition with the right errors, can transform into an incredibly valuable piece. We're talking about the 1986 Jefferson nickel, a modern coin with an extraordinary story. The Jefferson nickel series has been part of American coinage since 1938, and while most people are familiar with the design, very few realize how special certain years can be. By 1986, the mint had perfected its high-speed production process, turning out millions upon millions of coins at the Philadelphia and Denver mints. To the average person, that sheer quantity means the coin is common, and in most cases, it is. But rarity in the coin world doesn't always depend on mintage. Instead, it depends on condition, survival, and most importantly, the errors and varieties that slip through the cracks. Let's start with condition. Most Jefferson nickels from the 1980s went straight into circulation, jostling around in pockets, drawers, and cash registers, leaving behind scratches, dull surfaces, and worn details. However, the very few coins that somehow escaped into uncirculated rolls or sets can still retain their brilliant luster and sharp details. Collectors prize these gems, especially when they receive high grades from professional grading companies like PCGS or NGC. A perfectly preserved example with deep strikes, flawless surfaces, and no visible marks can stand out from the crowd and attract big money. Now let's talk about what really excites collectors: errors. The 1986 Jefferson nickel is known for some fascinating minting mistakes. One of the most desirable is the doubled die, where elements of the design, such as the inscriptions "In God We Trust" or "Liberty," appear doubled under magnification. Another highly collectible error involves off-center strikes, where part of the design is missing because the blank planchet wasn't aligned properly during striking. These can range from slightly off to dramatically misaligned, and the more dramatic, the more valuable the coin. There are also examples of die cracks, where a small break in the die leaves raised lines on the coin's surface, creating a unique and collectible appearance. Sometimes coins are struck on the wrong planchet entirely, using a blank intended for another denomination, which results in unusual size, weight, or color differences. These rare anomalies spark intense bidding wars whenever they appear at auctions. The historical context of the 1986 Jefferson nickel adds another layer of intrigue. This was a period when the mint was refining its methods, yet errors still managed to slip through. For collectors, these errors serve as tiny pieces of history, frozen in time, reminding us that even in a modern era of precision, imperfection is possible. And it's precisely those imperfections that can make an otherwise ordinary coin worth a fortune. Think about it. Millions of these coins pass through vending machines, gas stations, and grocery stores without a second thought. But hidden among the sea of ordinary nickels are the rare outliers. Coins that carry stories in their metal, coins that only the sharp-eyed collector will recognize. It's like looking for treasure in plain sight. And that's what makes coin collecting so thrilling. You never know when you might stumble across something extraordinary. A jar of change, an old roll of coins, or even a casual find in your pocket could hold the key to an incredible discovery. So, how much could a 1986 Jefferson nickel really be worth? While most are only worth face value, rare uncirculated examples with errors have shocked collectors and brought staggering amounts at auction. One such coin, in pristine condition and featuring a remarkable error, has been valued at an astonishing $80,000. That's right, $80,000 for a nickel from 1986. This is the magic of numismatics, the ability to transform a common coin into a priceless treasure when rarity, condition, and history align. Top 3, we're focusing on the 1988 Jefferson nickel, a coin that you might still come across in circulation, but in rare cases, it can be worth far more than just 5 cents. If you think nickels from the 1980s are too modern to be collectible, stay tuned, because this story will surprise you. The Jefferson nickel has been in circulation since 1938, featuring the portrait of President Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and his famous Virginia home, Monticello, on the reverse. By 1988, the design was well established, but that doesn't mean the coins from this year were all identical. In fact, collectors know that even in the modern minting era, unique errors, rare conditions, and minting quirks can transform an everyday coin into a prized collectible. Let's begin with the basics. The Philadelphia and Denver mints produced hundreds of millions of nickels in 1988. With such high numbers, it's easy to assume these coins are common and not worth saving. And while it's true that most nickels from this year are only worth face value, the small number of coins that survived in flawless, uncirculated condition are much scarcer than people realize. Over time, coins pick up scratches, dings, and wear, which reduces their desirability. But if you happen to find a 1988 Jefferson nickel with crisp details, sharp luster, and no signs of circulation, you may be holding something special. Condition plays a massive role in a coin's value. Coins graded at the highest levels, especially those with full steps visible on Monticello, command premium prices. Full steps refers to the clarity of the staircase leading up to Jefferson's home. Most nickels fail to strike with complete step detail, but when they do, collectors get excited. Full step designations can elevate the price dramatically, even for relatively modern coins. But it's not just condition that makes the 1988 Jefferson nickel valuable. Errors and varieties are what truly sets certain coins apart. One of the most fascinating error types is the doubled die. Imagine looking at the motto, "In God We Trust," or Jefferson's profile and noticing a doubling effect. This is not just wear, it's a genuine minting mistake, and collectors will pay handsomely for such pieces. Another valuable error involves off-center strikes. In these cases, the design isn't properly aligned with the planchet, leaving part of the coin blank and the rest unevenly struck. The more dramatic the off-center appearance, the higher the value tends to be. There are also instances of die cracks, where the minting die develops small breaks that leave raised lines or extra metal on the coin. These small but distinctive features make each coin unique, almost like a fingerprint from the minting process. And then there's the rare wrong planchet error, when a nickel is struck on a planchet intended for another denomination, such as a penny. These oddities are incredibly rare and highly collectible. What makes the 1988 Jefferson nickel fascinating is how it combines modern history with the thrill of the hunt. By this time, America was deep into the late Cold War era, and the economy was shifting in new ways. The coins minted in this period may seem common, but they carry with them the spirit of a nation on the verge of great change. To collectors, each coin is not just metal, it's a piece of that history, and when paired with rarity or error, it becomes a treasure. Now let's get to the part that everyone waits for. What can one of these coins actually be worth? While the majority of 1988 nickels are still just worth 5 cents, the rare ones in pristine condition with exceptional details or rare mint errors have stunned the collecting world with their value. And yes, believe it or not, one extraordinary example of the 1988 Jefferson nickel has been valued at an incredible $78,000. That's the power of numismatics, turning something that looks so ordinary into something extraordinary. So the next time you're going through your change, take a closer look at that nickel. It might just be hiding a secret worth more than you ever imagined. Top for we're exploring a modern piece that many people overlook, but collectors know it has secrets worth discovering. I'm talking about the 2001 Jefferson nickel, a coin that may look ordinary, yet in certain conditions and with rare errors, it can be worth a fortune. Stick with me, because you'll want to hear the full story of this little coin. The Jefferson nickel has been part of U.S. coinage since 1938, featuring the familiar portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and his stately home, Monticello, on the reverse. By 2001, the design had been in use for more than 60 years, making it one of the longest-running designs in American history. Millions of these coins were produced at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints, which means most people think they're common and not worth saving. But what sets the rare ones apart isn't the mintage, it's condition, errors, and those subtle details that collectors prize above all else. Let's begin with condition. When we talk about coins from 2001, we're talking about money that's still fairly recent in circulation. Most nickels from that year have been spent, tossed in change jars, scraped across countertops, and generally worn down. That wear removes the sharp details of Jefferson's portrait and the steps of Monticello. But coins that somehow escaped circulation, remaining in pristine, uncirculated condition, are far more desirable. A 2001 Jefferson nickel with brilliant luster, full details, and no scratches can already be worth much more than face value. Collectors especially look for nickels with what's called full steps on Monticello. The staircase on Jefferson's home is notoriously hard to strike completely, and when every step is visible, it's considered a mark of quality and rarity. Even in a modern coin like the 2001 nickel, the full step designation can make all the difference in its value. But what really excites collectors are the minting errors. In 2001, despite modern technology, mistakes still happened. One of the most fascinating types of error is the doubled die. When certain design elements, such as Jefferson's eye, the motto, "In God We Trust," or the word liberty, appear doubled, it's the result of a misalignment during the die creation process. These doubled die nickels can command impressive prices. Another rare error involves off-center strikes. Imagine a coin where Jefferson's portrait is shifted to one side, leaving part of the design missing. These are visually striking and instantly recognizable, and the more dramatic the misalignment, the more collectors are willing to pay. There are also die cracks, which leave raised lines across the coin, creating unique patterns that make each piece one of a kind. And perhaps the rarest of all are wrong planchet errors, where a nickel is accidentally struck on a planchet meant for another denomination, such as a penny or dime. These mistakes are exceptionally rare and can turn a simple coin into a true numismatic treasure. The story of the 2001 Jefferson nickel is also interesting because it was minted just a few years before the design change in 2004. This makes it part of the final chapter of the classic Jefferson and Monticello design era. Collectors often look at these coins as part of a transitional period, adding an extra layer of historical interest. Having an error or high-grade coin from this year means owning a piece of that moment in American coinage. Now here's the part you've been waiting for. While most 2001 Jefferson nickels are only worth 5 cents, the rare examples with pristine condition, full steps, or dramatic mint errors have shocked collectors with their value. In fact, one exceptional coin has been valued at an unbelievable $76,000. Yes, you heard that right. $76,000 for a nickel that many people wouldn't give a second glance. That's the magic of coin collecting. Turning the ordinary into the extraordinary when rarity and condition align. The next time you sort through your change, keep an eye out for the 2001 Jefferson nickel. It might just be the treasure hiding in plain sight. Top 5, we're diving into the fascinating story of the 2007 Jefferson nickel, a coin that might still be floating around in your pocket change, but could hold much more value than you think. This little 5-cent piece is part of modern U.S. coinage, but don't let its young age fool you. Some of these coins, in the right condition and with rare errors, can be worth an unbelievable amount of money. So stay tuned as we uncover what makes this coin so special. The Jefferson nickel is one of America's longest-running coin series, first minted in 1938. But by 2007, the design had recently undergone some major changes as part of the Westward Journey series, honoring the legacy of President Thomas Jefferson and the Lewis and Clark expedition. For that year, the obverse featured a forward-facing portrait of Jefferson, a bold departure from the traditional side profile used for decades. On the reverse, Monticello remained, but the new design gave the series a refreshed and modern look. Because of this transitional period, coins from the mid-2000s stand out in American numismatics. Now, let's talk about what makes the 2007 Jefferson nickel valuable. First, condition is key. Millions of nickels were struck at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints, and most of them went straight into circulation. That means scratches, dings, and general wear are extremely common. But collectors search for coins that avoided circulation, staying in pristine, uncirculated condition. These coins show sharp details, brilliant luster, and often grade very high when submitted to professional grading services. A flawless example with what numismatists call full steps on Monticello is especially prized. Full steps mean that every line of the staircase leading up to Jefferson's home is visible, and this rarity can dramatically increase the coin's value. But condition alone doesn't tell the full story. The real excitement comes from minting errors and die varieties. Even in the 21st century, with advanced technology, mistakes happen at the U.S. Mint. Double die varieties are some of the most popular, where inscriptions such as "In God We Trust" or "Liberty" appear doubled. Another highly collectible error involves off-center strikes, where part of the design is shifted away from the center of the coin, leaving blank areas along the rim. These are visually striking and instantly recognizable. There are also die cracks and die clashes that appear on some 2007 nickels. A die crack leaves raised lines across the coin, creating unique patterns that collectors consider charming and rare. A die clash happens when the dies strike each other without a planchet between them, transferring ghost-like images of one side of the coin onto the other. These unusual appearances make every error coin a one-of-a-kind collectible. Some even rarer errors involve coins struck on the wrong planchet. Imagine a nickel that was mistakenly struck on a smaller dime blank, or even on a foreign coin planchet. These errors are incredibly scarce, and when authenticated, they sell for staggering prices at auction. Another reason collectors like the 2007 nickel is because it represents the modern evolution of the Jefferson design. For decades, Americans grew accustomed to Jefferson's side profile, but in 2007, seeing his face looking forward brought a new energy to the series. Coins from this period are often saved as part of historical sets, and error coins from this year are even more significant as they mark a moment of transition in U.S. coinage. So now comes the question on everyone's mind. How much can a 2007 Jefferson nickel actually be worth? For most people, it's just 5 cents. But if you have one in near-perfect condition, especially with full steps, or if you happen to find one with a rare minting error, its value skyrockets. And here's the amazing part. One extraordinary example of the 2007 Jefferson nickel has been valued at an astounding $74,000. That's right. A coin you might dismiss as ordinary change could actually be worth more than most people's yearly salary if it carries the right combination of rarity and condition. That's what makes coin collecting so exciting. The possibility that something so small and overlooked could turn out to be a hidden treasure. So the next time you're sorting through your pocket change, take a closer look at your nickels. You never know when you might uncover the next great discovery. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the 2007 Jefferson nickel, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of our future coin collecting adventures. Until next time, keep searching, keep learning, and happy collecting.